Do you feel sometimes like there isn't a community commitment to expanding your reach? Like the gripers feel the need to push Nick's reach. Your last huge positive viral clip was about abortion. I don't know. It's hard. It's difficult because I think sometimes in order to get a fan base that does that, I wonder if you need like a sycophantic fan base. And I don't really foster that as much as everybody on the fucking internet seems to think I do. My fan base is good for mobilizing on certain things, but when it comes to like doing like the online propaganda stuff, we don't really do that well at all. Although it's also hard to tell if it's because my fan base in particular doesn't do it well, or if it's because we're not part of other huge communities that like carry our message. So for instance, when Hassan does things, and his fan base is trying to amplify his message, it also will get picked up by other like Zoomer socialist types that will amplify the message as well, you know? Whereas for like Nick Fuentes, Nick will literally be on Telegram, like directing his people to bot and amplify tweets and shit. It's kind of crazy. There's SocDem and liberal Twitter people that get 10 to 20K likes tweets every day. They're a liberal/SocDem community you can piggyback off of if you encourage your audience to share and like your tweets and engage on Twitter. I don't know if I get along with those audiences though. They end up feeling like so orthodox. And then when we run up into a thing that we disagree on, it's just like, I'm fucked. They're just gonna fucking hate me. Aren't we a SocDem community? We're kind of SocDem, but I'm like, I don't think I'm a very orthodoxy person. Like, it really depends on the issue. Like, it really depends on the issue. So, is it an optics thing or why? Is it an optics thing? No, I have my particular moral system, and then from there, my political positions stem. But sometimes that's going to put me at ends with different communities, and it's really, really, really hard to be in communities when you have disagreements with some positions in the communities. Like, people will hate you over it. So for instance, there's going to be like a lot of lib communities that hate me because they think I'm transphobic, and like that's it. Like that's nothing else matters past that point. So it's like, what are you going to do, you know? The trans med community loves you, I think. Maybe, but I mean, that community is already like a fraction of a community, and I don't know if they would like all my other takes, so. What do you disagree with that Drew Paulau guy that he would hate you? It's not about the people themselves. It's about the fan bases. I can get along with individuals really well. I have like a vast array of people, a vast landscape of people that I get along with like pretty well on a personal level and can even have political debate with, whose audiences fucking hate me. I mean, look no further than the Ryan Long thing that I just did, right? Like, I think I get along really well with both those guys. They've offered to introduce me to other people every time I'm in New York. Like, I can connect with them for a show or whatever. We probably end up politically agreeing on most things. Although on this podcast, I think we focused a little bit more on sides that we disagree with. But like, yeah, this audience hates me. Holy shit. Dr. K is another good example. Yeah, that audience fucking hates me. Maybe I misunderstand. Do you feel like some communities would easily side with you if shown that you don't have some imagined position? Not necessarily. I think there's a lot of hate about me that comes from just like people like Hassan making shit up about me. But I think there's probably a lot of hate that comes from people that genuinely don't vibe with my positions either. Like, a lot of people genuinely don't like my position on Israel-Palestine. Like, they won't like it. Even if they heard every single part of it, it would have to be like a rehab program for me to like go through all of my takes on this to figure out like if I could debate them out of their position. But if they just, even if they accurately heard my takes on Israel-Palestine, they still wouldn't like me. There's probably like a lot of like libish communities that are like that. So I feel like if you lean a little harder into pushing omniliberalism instead of better thought processes, the community commitment will have an ideology to grasp on. It's a rallying cry so people can stand behind when making clips of you. Yeah, but it just sounds lame. That's just not as punchy as like, think reasonably. The problem too is that like a lot of what I espouse or a lot of what I hope to do in my life is something that's worn as an aesthetic by a ton of other people. Like, if I were to describe myself and then wipe that from my mind and then read that description of somebody, every single red flag is there for why I probably would write the person off without even listening. Like, oh, really? Tell me more about how you're not partisan and you don't align with a particular party and you try to use reason and logic to arrive at your political positions and you try not to parrot a party line and you do your own research. Wow, bro. Like, my God. Like, why not just call yourself Veritostony? Like, wow, how ingeniously smart and enlightened and centrist and unique and independent of a thinker you are. Like, every single... So, but the problem is, like, I genuinely feel like I try to exhibit these values, but these are worn by aesthetics from all across the political aisle. That Brad Palumbo guy today on on C-SPAN said as much, right? I'm not saying he doesn't try to do these things. He might, but like he described himself the same way that I would describe myself. So like, what the fuck is the difference here? I don't know. Sorry, I missed it. Why does the Dr. audience hate you? I have no idea. Twitch community in general, maybe. Like that's kind of been like Hassanified. Maybe that's like a broad guess. I don't know actually. I'm not really sure. A common thing I see in communities like the Boys Cast when talking about you is they'll claim that they hate you because you have no strong stance on anything or you go with the popular opinion. Yeah, that's kind of been like the new attack on me, is that I don't stand for anything, but that's not really an attack on me. I think that I've become the embodiment of liberalism, and I think that's the traditional tradcon hit against liberals, is the idea that like a religious man, a conservative man, stands for family values. He's got religion and God, that these are the things he stands for. But liberals are just these like hedonistic, valueless, soulless people that like stand for nothing or something. So I've kind of become the embodiment of that, because I think that if you've ever listened to me, I clearly have really strong opinions on a lot of things. I don't just like change them on a whim. But I think that attack just comes from the traditional conservative hit against like liberals. Would you invest / champion in a serious platform trying to get talking heads to put money on the line in terms of making predictions to show how serious they hold their positions? I don't know. We'll see. Right now, I want to here's my immediate future dream. Okay. I need to get the studio downstairs running perfectly. Despite the road bumps, of which there have been many, I'm actually I'm way happier than I thought I would be with the series of recent guests. Talking to Adam was a lot of fun. JJ was a really good guest. Ryan was a really good guest. And the Krasensteins were also really, really good to talk to. And even Jeremiah, the first guy. So those have gone really well. I think I have like unlimited access to I don't know if you'd call them like C-tier YouTubers. So not like A-list talent and not like the huge B-listers, but I think anybody C-tier I can just like grab. Oh, and Kyla has Turkey Tom coming on the 4th. That'll be really good. And I think Richard Lewis is coming tomorrow. That'll be good. Yeah. So Bridges right now is filling out like I don't want to jinx anything, but right now that my dream was to fill out a thing where, you know how you guys are like, oh, talk to this guy. And I'm like, I don't know. I feel like we agree on anything. Bridges is a really good platform where I can bring those people on and then also have like a more serious in-depth conversation with them too. So that's been really good. That studio will be running perfectly in about 7 days too. It'd be nice to hire somebody to do a show out of there as well. That would be like the start of the media company dream, is making Josiah move down here to Florida and paying him to shoot 1 episode a week out of there. The Daily Destiny. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. But do you feel like starting 2 podcasts at the same time with diametrically opposed goals could jinx you out of attracting guests? No, people just don't. I think people don't consume content in the way that a lot of you guys think they do. Like a lot of you guys thought that that show Kick or Keep would like destroy my career. And I don't think people engage with the content that way. It just doesn't happen. Oh, I think, and then anything else is like a lot more casual of a platform. I can draft guests over onto that for casual shit as well. Anything else on Wednesday? Richard Lewis on that would actually be fucking hilarious. Oh, shit. I wonder when he leaves town. I'm doing Piers Morgan again on Wednesday morning, too. Are you collabing with the Fear and podcast anytime soon? Fuck no. How serious are you about rebranding as Steven instead of Destiny? You keep sort of mentioning it, but is there an actual plan? No, I just like to be called Steven in a serious setting, but I don't think I need to rebrand or anything. I think Destiny is fine. I think you guys worry about shit more than anything else. Like it doesn't actually have an impact on this. Like I see people in the subreddit post like Destiny needs to improve his background so he doesn't look like a gamer because people aren't going to take him seriously. I think that you guys think that people value certain things way more than they actually do. Even when it comes to things like appearance. Like I read so much feedback and comments about me. I don't know if I've ever seen a comment ever, even when I'm looking super messy, about like, oh, I don't take this guy seriously because his hair, blah, 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 blah. Like, I don't think I've ever seen a comment like that. Usually it's like, cuck, lover, fucking Gusano, genocide apologist. It's like all like stuff related to lore me and shit. I don't think, I just don't think it matters anywhere near as much as people seem to think it does. I'm also curious because of your occasional quips. I mean, the branding on Destiny is really good too. It's just so easy to, like, it's a good noun. It just works. Yeah. It's not about what people say, but about what they subconsciously think of you. If you dress poorly, then they will have a worse first impression, which will taint your entire appearance. You know what? I actually don't think first impressions matter at all. One thing that I've learned in life is I think first impressions are mainly worthless. I think that your final impression is always the most important thing. We talked about all this a little bit from like the dating aspect, that if you could choose between like starting a date strong versus ending a date strong, you always want to end a date. You always want to end a date strong. First impressions are so easy to overcome and override. The final impression you leave on somebody can like determine their final thoughts about you, I think. What if I legally changed my middle name to Destiny? Do you think that would be like insulting? Then I could just be Stephen Destiny Bonnell. First impressions wouldn't be a reliable means to learn about someone's nature because everyone is going to try to look good in their first impression, right? If I had to guess for why people think first impressions matter, it's because that's the first time you see a bunch of things that do matter. But they don't matter because they're first impressions. They just matter because they're things that you'll likely see the first time that you meet somebody. So for instance, when I say like first impressions don't matter, somebody might think like, oh, so you don't think it matters if you show up on time? Showing up on time to something is incredibly important. But that doesn't have to do with making a first impression. It's just being on time to stuff is important for a lot of people, unless you live in California. So that's not like a first impression thing, it's just a being on time thing. Or if somebody talks about like your appearance, like, oh, well, you know, if you look like really slobbly and blah, 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 and somebody sees you, the first impression is gonna be really bad. No, that's the entire impression, because you're gonna look the same from start to finish. The entire impression they get is that your appearance looks like disheveled or whatever, you know? So it's not just a first impression thing, it's like this is just a thing that people notice about you, you know? Yeah. Also, if you're late the first time, you're late 100% of the time. If you're late the second time, you're late 50% of the time. True. I think fans adopt your destructive argument style, which is part of why we're perceived as toxic debate who stand a contrarian with no real positions or whatever. You should probably work on disseminating a constructive description or platform of omniliberalism. Things like being understanding about... Yeah, I mean, we can do that, but like, be careful. I noticed this the other day, and I started to speak out against this more. Was this to chat or was this a program I was on where it's like people are like, oh, well, Democrats are always so this or that. And it's like, oh yeah, like, well, when Fauci got the science wrong that one time, that's why nobody trusts, you know, the health establishment. And it's like, okay, well, what about when conservatives have been wrong like 50 million times? Bullshit. I don't believe that. Just like I don't believe anybody that doesn't like me because I'm a debate. That's bullshit. Hassan embodies everything about an actual debate file. He was literally debate a 16-year-old. If that's not debate, yeah, I don't know what is, right? Or the way that he dealt with the Willie Mack thing, or like, yeah, like these people love debate. Or look at the easiest example is the way that Finkelstein treated me in our conversation, in our debate, was just screaming at me the entire time, screaming over me the entire time, calling me names the entire time. Like, and then these are the people who are like, Destiny, people don't like you because you're too much of a debate bro sometimes. No, bullshit. That's bullshit. That's an excuse that people just use. I don't think they actually give a fuck about that.